Hi guys, so today we will be discussing the first module entitled the Earth, the Subsystems, and the Rock Forming Minerals. But this module or this discussion lecture will only be for the Earth and the subsystems of the Earth. So before we start our discussion, our lecture, let's have first the objectives for this session. Our objectives for this session are the following. First, you need to recognize the uniqueness of the Earth being the only planet in the solar system with properties necessary to support life. We will be discussing what are the factors that we need to understand in order for a planet to be able to be habitable or to be able to support life. Second, we will have to discuss or explain that the Earth consists of four subsystems. And these particular subsystems are interconnected with each other across boundaries, so the energy could also flow from one particular subsystem to another. And the last objective, however, but this objective will be discussed on the next video, we need to identify common rock forming minerals using their physical and chemical properties, and we have to give examples on on those minerals, uh, those rock forming minerals in the next video. Okay, so let's start off first with a picture. Okay, as you can see on the screen, I have a picture of the universe. Okay, this particular satellite photo, I have downloaded it in image in Google. Okay, you can browse a lot of pictures of the universe on the internet or on the web. As you can see, there are a lot of heavenly bodies and stars that you could uh see on this particular picture. This composed what we call as the universe. And one of the heavenly bodies is, of course, our Earth. Now, before we understand our own planet, we need to also understand where this particular planet belongs. Okay? 'Di ba? Parang maintindihan natin kung paano nabuo ang life sa Earth, we need to understand kung saan galing ang mga planeta or ang mga stars. And for that, let's define first what is the universe. So I have here different words. Now we have the stars, the universe, the dark matter, the planets, time, and the space and forces. If we're going to put it together, it will be like this. Okay? What does it mean? What this particular diagram means? That the planets and the stars, together with other energy or dark matter, composed all all the universe and some of the galaxies with respect to time, space, and forces. So with that, the universe is actually the totality, or it comprises all the space and time and matter and energy in it, especially the part wherein we can see galaxies, and those galaxies have the particular systems. An example for our system is the solar system, which Earth or the our planet belongs. And now there is also 4.6% baryonic matter on our universe. This is just an additional information. When you say baryonic matter, it has to do with the composition of your neutrons, your electrons, your protons in the outer space. Okay, this matter is very much important in forming the elements that could also be found in rocks as well as in the planet Earth. Okay, aside from that, it is 24% cold dark matter. What do we mean by cold dark matter? When you say cold dark matter, the particular gravity is not there's no gravity on this particular area of the universe, as well as the light cannot pass through it. Okay, next. Now, we know already what is the universe. The next thing that we need to understand is the solar system, or the system wherein the planet Earth belongs. Why? Because our solar system is part of the universe. And the particular galaxy where our solar system belongs is actually what we call as the Milky Way galaxy. Do you understand? The Milky Way galaxy. So, this particular Milky Way galaxies are composed of different systems, and one of those systems are what we call as the solar system. Now, in the solar system, doon natin makikita ang mga planeta which you are familiar already, including our own planet, the Earth. I have here the composition of the solar system. We have the sun. Of course, we have the planets. An example of the planets, we have, yes, very good, the Earth. Okay? And of course, comets and some asteroids. So this solar system has different components as well, but it all belongs to the outer space or the universe. Now, I want you to look at this table because this table will will show us that the continental crust or our crust, okay, the planet's crust is actually the same, having the same elements to the universe, the meteorites, and of course the whole Earth. If you would see, there are elements, okay, there are compounds such as silicon, aluminum. You can find the elements here at the first column. Okay, these are minerals that could also be found in our rocks. So we have the silicon, aluminum, iron, magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium, manganese, tin. We have the nickel and we have the phosphorus and chromium. So if you're going to see this, guys, makikita ninyo na hindi nagkakalayo yung amount ng um, compounds na ito, okay, or ng elements na ito from the continental crust to the universe, to the meteorites, and to the whole Earth. So, meaning to say, the Earth was formed million years ago, a billion years ago, because of a certain element or because of a certain meteorite, or maybe the compounds from the universe ay naipasa or transferred, okay, to the planet, to our planet. So that means that we are somehow connected to the big universe that we have, outer space. Okay, so that's for that. Now, since we're discussing about the solar system, I want you to look at this three planets here. These are what we call as terrestrial planets. When we say terrestrial planets, these planets have crust, they have mantle, they have core, and they actually had tectonic activity on their crust. Okay? Now, of course, you're familiar with the Venus, the twin planet of the Earth, and of course, the red planet, which is the Mars, and syempre, yung Earth na kung saan tayo nakatira. However, there is one more planet, terrestrial planet na hindi kasama dito, and that is the Mercury, the nearest planet on the sun. Now, I want you to look at the second table. And if you're going to see this second table, I'll be giving you the particular table so that you would be able to see the figures. I don't know if you can see it on the screen, pero pwede kong ibigay sa inyo tong table na to, okay, in a PDF form para makita ninyo yung mga data, okay? So in the table, this is actually a comparison and comparison of the three terrestrial planets. If you see, the mass of Venus is somehow kagaya lang din ng somehow, no, medyo malapit siya sa mass ng Earth. Kaya nga siya tinawag na twin planet of the Earth, okay? However, among the three planets, sino po ang pinakamalaki? Okay, if you're going to see this, ang pinakamabigat sa kanila, that is the mass. That is our Earth, which is 5.97 kilograms, about 1,224 kilogram times 5.97. That's how we interpret this. And then of course the diameter, pinakamalawak. Okay, from if we're going to have the circle, right? The distance from one point to another point of a circle is what we call as the diameter. So kung gaano kalawak yung Earth, Siya actually yung pinakamalawak. That is 12,756 kilometers. Okay, pero somehow hindi pa rin sila nagkakalayo ni Venus. Now, ma'am, why is that the Earth is the only planet that can support life? That's our second objective, right? We need to understand why the Earth has this particular characteristics of supporting life. Kasi kung papansinin niyo, there are a lot of expedition, experiments, ano pa, travel outside the universe or satellites, 'di ba, outside Earth na inaaral kung meron bang iba pang planeta or they are discovering some planets that could support life other than our Earth. Pero until now, they cannot prove or they cannot find or they cannot discover any planet that could provide life just like our Earth. Okay? Take a look at this second part. In the composition of the atmosphere of the Venus, it has 96% of the atmosphere is made up of carbon dioxide. Similar thing with Mars, which is also 95%. And if you will going to uh if we're going to get the details on the carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide is actually a greenhouse gas. When we say greenhouse gas, um it gives an effect to the particular planet ng na global warming, no? Umiinit yung planeta. So the more carbon dioxide, the more greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, mas mainit yung particular na planeta na yon. Kaya hindi kakayanin ng isang planeta kung mataas masyado yung carbon dioxide content. And it is happening in our Earth because of the things that we are doing, because of the air pollution that is actually very high na yung air pollution natin sa atmosphere. Kaya eventually possible, no, na kapag tumaas yung carbon dioxide content natin, yung amount of carbon dioxide natin sa atmosphere, there will be a possibility na maging kagaya tayo ni Venus at ni Mars, no, na hindi na kayang mag-support ng life because of too much carbon dioxide or too much greenhouse gases. These greenhouse gases affect the temperature of the planet. That's why in it's a trivia that the hottest planet is not actually the Mercury, which is the nearest to the sun, but it is actually Venus. Okay? Why, ma'am? Kasi si Venus, siya yung sa apat na terrestrial planet, siya yung may pinaka mataas na amount ng carbon dioxide sa atmosphere. Kaya siya rin yung pinakamainit. Kaya kahit twin sister siya ng Earth, when it comes to the size of it, hindi niya kayang mag-support ng life as well as with the Mars. Now, ma'am, ba't si Mercury? Mercury does not have any atmosphere. So, if we're, imagine living in Mercury without atmosphere. So, maraming mga meteorites, maraming mga comets or asteroids ang pwedeng mag-bombard din sa Mercury. Kaya Mercury has a lot of craters. Kasi walang nagpo-protect kay Mercury. Parang ikaw lang, 'di ba? Iniwan ka ng jowa mo. Joke. Just 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 giving you some examples, no? Anyway, so if you can see this temperature without greenhouse gases pumapalo ng negative 46 degrees and that's very cold. And then for Earth that's negative 18 and then for Mars that's negative 57. Mas mababa na kay Mars kasi malayo na siya kay Sun. Okay? So mas malamig na siya. Pero, if we're going to see this, imagine the change in temperature due to greenhouse gas. Si Venus, kapag may greenhouse gases daw, just like what I'm telling you kanina, kaya niyang pumalo ng temperature na 523 degrees Celsius. What does it mean? Sobrang init nun. Kumbaga, pag pumunta ka doon, wala na, lahat na ng taba mo sa katawan, maybe I can go there and try to melt every fat in my body. Anyway, so, ang init. For Earth, we have 33 degrees, right? 33 nga, nagrereklamo ka na yung init na eh. Di ba, minsan pa pag summer, I don't know if you experience this, di ba? Pag 39 degrees na or somehow 38 degrees na yung temperatura, wala ka nang ginawa kundi bumili ng yelo sa kanto or kumain ng malamig. What more kung 523 degrees pa yan, right? And for Mars, medyo malamig siya, 10 degrees, and we cannot live on 10 degrees Celsius. Humans cannot live to such temperature. Maninigas ka, okay? Si Elsa from the Frozen, maybe she can go there to Mars and maybe live there and have some, castle, ice castle on Mars. But for people like us, for humans like us, we cannot live on such temperature. Okay? Now, I want you to understand the importance of this. No, we need. I need to focus on that. I need to emphasize this particular table because I want you to appreciate our Earth. Right? From the three from the characteristics that I have given you, the properties of the Earth, the physical properties and even the chemical properties of our Earth or of the planets mentioned here, makikita mo na dapat talaga pala na inaalagaan natin ang ating mundo. Na hindi pala dapat natin siya tinitake for granted kasi wala pang planeta ang nade-discover na pwedeng mag-support ng life. Only the planet Earth has the characteristics to support life. And if we're not going to take care of our Earth, if you are not going to take care of the planet Earth, soon hindi na kaya mag-cater ng life. Soon, hindi na lahat ng mga organisms from the smallest bacteria to the biggest mammal maaari nang hindi makita or maaaring ma-extinct na, just like the dinosaurs, right? Just like the other organisms na extinct na ngayon. And that is very important. So paano ang the question is, how are you going to give your help to our Earth, 'di ba? Paano mo matutulungan yung Earth na mapanatili yung ganda niya, mapanatili yung kakayahan niyang sumuporta ng life, 'no? Ano ba, patatapon ka pa ng basura sa kanto, 'di ba? Sa kung saan-saan. Actually, young uh, uh, as as young as 15 years old, dapat alam na natin 'to, na we can segregate garbages, 'di ba? Pag hiwa-hiwalayin mo yung mga garbage, yung plastic cups, yung mga biodegradable, non-biodegradable, tinuturo 'to ng elementary, but the thing is, are you applying what you are being taught or what you have learned in the previous years of your life? That's one thing that we need to reflect on, no? Paano nga kaya, no, kapag halimbawa itong itong Earth natin napagod na rin, 'di ba, naprotektahan ng mga living organisms naninirahan sa kanya. Just like what is happening today, 'di ba? What happened to this year. There is this pandemic. Paano nangyari nagkaroon ng ganitong klaseng disease na halos maraming mga tao ang na-wipe out dahil sa disease na ito. So imagine kung yung atmosphere or yung environment natin hindi natin paalagaan, lalong-lalo nang hindi makakapagsuporta ng life ang Earth because of the things that we are doing. Did you know that there is, I forgot the particular quotation or kung sino yung nag-quote nun, pero ang sabi niya, that the most dangerous animal on earth is not actually the lion, it's not actually the leopard, it's not actually the wild animals or the shark, even the shark, but it's actually humans. Okay? Us, Homo sapiens, our scientific name. Next, now what are the characteristics of this planets that can support life? No, we have four factors that we need to consider. First, we have the temperature. I have here the next table. If you're going to see this, there is not enough of the factor, just right, too much of the factor situation in the solar system. So, I'll be giving you this particular table, and then maybe you can read this kasi para mabilis lang rin tayo. I-check nyo lang kung ano dito yung tama lang doon sa planeta para makapag-support siya ng life. I think there is a particular activity on your module. I think module lesson 2 maybe. Just check it. Activity number 2, wherein you have to choose, right? You have to choose what particular planet could support life. May mga characteristic dun ang planeta na yon, right? Tapos pipiliin mo ano yung planeta na sa palagay mo makakapag-support ng life. So, yung sagot nyo doon will be based on this particular table. Okay? So we have the temperature. Ano yung nakalagay sa just right? It should be 15 degrees to 115 degrees Celsius. So more than 15 degrees, okay. Less than 15 degrees, medyo may problema na. Just like Mars, right? Negative 15 na siya eh. Pero too much naman of a factor kapag naman sobrang lamig. Okay? And what is too much? That is 125. Eh si Venus kanina, 'di ba? 523 lang. 523 na siya. So it's actually too much of a factor. Next, the atmosphere. Okay? The importance of the atmosphere, as I said a while ago, it's not just to trap greenhouse gases, hindi lang yon, but also to protect us from the harmful radiation of the sun. Okay? Since the sun emits ultraviolet rays, and these ultraviolet rays or the UV rays are very much harmful to us, especially other animals. May mga animals that they can absorb UV rays. May mga just like bacteria and other organisms. Pero when it comes to us humans, hindi natin kakayanin na mag-absorb ng too much radiation, no? Kaya kaya importante na yung planeta natin ay kaya or makapal yung atmosphere niya at kayang mag-protect sa atin ng radiation, okay? Or ng UV rays, okay, coming from the sun. So that's another factor. The third factor that you have to consider in order for the planet to be habitable is that the energy that it consumed or the energy that it absorbed. We know already saan natin nakukuha ang energy. Saan? That is in our sun, right? The sun gives the energy in the form of solar energy. And this particular solar energy is being transferred from one form to another form. Okay? Kaya natin nagagamit yung energy na yan kasi on the part of the photosynthetic organisms such as plants, no? Guys, hindi lang plants ang photosynthetic ha. May mga iba-ibang organism na kaya nilang mag-produce ng sarili nilang pagkain. Okay? So you have to take note of that. So in this case, I have to mention plants kasi most of us medyo familiar na sa plants eh. Especially now, 'di ba? Nag-boom ang mga plantita at plantito, right? Kung meron kang tito at tita na mahilig sa plants, 'di ba? Nag-ayos-ayos ng mga plants. So, ayan, tanungin niyo sila kung paano nabubuhay ang mga halaman. And that is because of the energy of the sun, water, and the soil nutrients. So, balik tayo doon, no? Pagdating ng paggawa ng food making process of plants, that is what we call as photosynthesis. Energy coming from the sun is being trapped on the leaves of the plants. So from there, the plants would be able to produce their own food. When the plants have this kind of food, that food will be consumed by other animals, 'di ba? Halimbawa, ikaw kakain kang kangkong, halaman 'yan, right? Yung energy na kinonvert niya sa pagkain, nasa iyo na. So it's actually transferred from the sun, did you get me? From the sun, and then the plants make the food, and then you eat that plant, yung kangkong nga, and then you have now your energy. So ganun yung proseso. Now, hindi po pwede na sobrang dami ng energy natin kasi it will bounce back to the universe. Okay, to the outer space. Kaya dapat yung light energy sakto lang. Hindi ganun kadami, hindi rin ganun ka konti. Okay? Among the 8 planets na lang the farthest, yung pinakamalayo, siya yung may pinaka-konting light energy na natatanggap. And for that, there would be a problem pagdating sa production ng food. Okay, sa consumption ng food. Kaya importante yung distance ng planet from the sun to the planet itself. Kaya titingnan nyo, doon sa table, alin ba dito sa mga planetang binigay na example dun sa module na yon, yung sakto lang yung distance from the sun. Okay? Is it the first planet? Is it the second planet? Is it the third planet? And so on and so forth. And the last factor is actually the nutrients. Okay? Nutrients, when we say nutrients, these are the elements I have been mentioning kanina pa. We have the silicon, we have the aluminum, we had potassium, sodium, lahat yan nanggagaling guys sa lupa. Okay? Saan particular part, ma'am? Sa mantle. So, kapag, particularly sa magma. So, kapag ang magma, it will rise up, okay? Maybe volcanic eruption, right? May volcanic eruption. So, si magma nagra-rise siya, lalabas siya sa vulkan in the form of lava. Ang lava nyo ngayon, punong-puno yan ng nutrients. May sodium dyan, may nitrogen, may potassium yan, kasi galing yan sa ilalim eh. Kaya 'di ba ang mga nasa malapit sa bulkan na pansinin niyo ang mga malalapit sa bulkan, yan yung mga laging maraming mga crops, okay? Kasi mataba yung mga lupa diyan eh. Fertile ang lupa diyan. Kaya maraming halaman ang pwede mong itanim. And that is important, not just to have food, but where ganun ulit, cycle ulit. The plants will go to make the plants will make food, and then that is part of the biosphere. We will be discussing this mamaya. And then what will happen now? Dun sa mga yung mga nutrients ngayon, it will go freely, lalabas na siya, no? It will go up freely from the mantle to the crust, and then it will be consumed now by the organisms. So that is for the nutrients. So kung walang magma or walang volcanic activity, hindi mananatili lang sa ilalim, mananatili lang. Let's sing that song later. Mananatili lang sa ilalim, guys, yung nutrients kasi hindi lumalabas eh. Diba? Parang yung ano, yung example yung kapag ikaw 'di ba nag-ano ka, what do you call this? Yung soft drinks, let's say example, yung soft drinks, 'pag hindi mo yan binuksan at hindi yan lumabas, hindi ka makakainom, right? So ganun din siya. Yung nutrients sa ilalim ng crust natin, it should be out of the crust in order for the organisms to consume it. Okay? So importante ang nutrients. Okay? Questions about factors that we need to consider in order for a planet to be habitable? If you don't have any question, let's go to lesson number 2. Now, for our lesson number 2, it's actually a continuation of lesson number 1, wherein the particular systems, the particular sorry, the particular, ano ako, merong importanteng mahalaga na nag-alarm. Anyway, so let's go back to the lecture. Yung particular Earth natin, it is composed of 4 subsystems now. But before we go to the 4 subsystems, you need to understand first the word system. Okay? When you say system, it is a combination of parts or components, no, that are connected with each other in order for it to form or to perform a particular function. For example, your organ system, okay? An example of an organ system is your respiratory system, right? Ang respiratory system natin, alam natin yan. Ano ang mga parts niyan? We have the lungs, we have the nose, we have your trachea, we have your bronchioles, we have your bronchial tubes, we have your alveoli, your air sacs, that gives off your carbon dioxide and your oxygen. Diba? Yung exchange of gases, doon nangyayari. So, ang mga yan, they have different functions, pero when you connect them together, they perform the function of the respiratory system. And that is for respiration. In order for you to inhale and inhale oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide, kailangan mo si respiratory system. Mawala yung ilong, hindi ka makakahinga. Mawala yung lungs mo, kakasigarilyo mo, or weeds mo, okay? 'Di ba? Magkakaroon ng effect 'yon sa iyo. And eventually, magkakaroon ka ng sakit. So magkakaproblema yung si respiratory system mo. Ganon din class si Earth. 4 ang subsystem niya, and the Earth is the system, and each subsystem has functions. this particular functions should work together. They should be connected para mag-work si Earth at masuportahan niya yung life. Okay? So let's go first with the first subsystem. Ayan na, nakalagay na sa screen, that is atmosphere. I'm going to give you the presentation, so I am not going to give the details anymore in the lecture. You just have to read the PowerPoint presentation for this. I'm giving just the definition of each subsystem kasi para mas mabilis yung ating lecture discussion. Kasi I know already na bored kayo sa pakikinig ng mga lecture na ganito. Okay? So for the atmosphere, when you say atmosphere, atmo, that is what we call as gases, and this particular system or subsystem is composed of the different gases. Okay? Particularly nitrogen, oxygen, and argon. Now, ma'am, bakit po ang nitrogen ang pinakamataas at hindi oxygen? Eh, di ba ma'am, most of the living organisms, they need oxygen in order for them to breathe, in order to them to survive. So bakit ma'am hindi oxygen ang pinakamarami? It's because class, oxygen, take note of this, oxygen is a flammable element. Okay? So imaginein mo yung atmosphere ng Earth, punong-puno ng oxygen, tas malapit pa siya sa sun, what will happen? Okay? The Earth or this planet will burn or explode. So ang galing lang, no? Ang galing lang nung idea na, ay, yung composition ng atmosphere, hindi pwedeng mas marami si oxygen kasi may possibility na maging toxic yung atmosphere at eventually masunog yung mundo. So, anong ginawa? Nilagyan ng mas maraming nitrogen, and that is 78%. And then the rest of the gases, 0.9% argon and other amount of gases such as the greenhouse gases, around 2% lang ang ating carbon dioxide ang amount of carbon dioxide. Pero alam niyo ba, because of air pollution, tumataas yung carbon dioxide natin sa atmosphere. Kaya nga importante na ngayon pa lang mag-try na tayo maging plantito at plantita. Magtanim tayo na magtanim ng halaman para yung carbon dioxide ma-absorb nila because they need carbon dioxide in order for them to create food, right? So, mababawasan yung carbon dioxide. At saka siguro panahon na, no, para ibawasan na rin natin yung emission of carbon dioxide natin. If hindi naman natin kailangan magsunog ng basura. Diba? Pwede tayong gumawa ng compost pit, 'di ba? Or kaya pwede nating i-recycle yung mga pwedeng i-recycle na mga gamit or mga plastic cups, right? Mga bottles, pwedeng hindi naman na tayo mag-consume ng too much plastic. Instead, bitbitin mo na lang, 'di ba? Exercise pa. Okay? So that is for the atmosphere. For the next few uh next few points, this is just self-explanatory, so you can read it on your PowerPoint presentation. The next subsystem is what we call as biosphere. Now, when we say biosphere, it has something to do with the set of all life forms. Okay? Pag narinig mo na yung salitang bio means life. And this life, of course, it has something to do with all the living organisms, including the bacteria, viruses that is inside the host of or sa isang organismo or organism. And then, of course, yung what you call this, yung mammals, birds, yan, mga insects, lahat ng klase ng animals, ng plants, ng fungi. When you say fungi, these are mushrooms, protists. We have your amoeba, no? Yung ating paramecium. In the next few months, we will be dealing with such topics, no? Yung mga sa animal kingdom, different second quarter yon. Pero lahat ng may buhay, parte sila ng ating subsystem na biosphere. Well, ma'am, biosphere is important kasi living organisms, they interact with the non-living, the water, the air, right, the land. So sila actually yung nagko-cultivate. Yes. Sila actually yung gumagamit ng resources. At sa paggamit ng resources, nare-renew yung resources, na ibabalik yung resources. Yun nga lang sometimes when the resources are very very plenty, naaabuso rin, no? Ang nangyayari, naabuso yung resources, nauubos yung resources, and yung mga resources, pag naubos na, nagkakaroon na ng problema. Just like our water pollution, 'di ba? Dahil kailangan natin ng tubig, madalas napopollute natin yung nagkakaroon ng pollution na yung tubig. 'Di ba? Naglalaba yung nanay mo araw-araw, 'di ba? Tapos yung mga basura na tinatapon natin sa estero, kung saan napapadpad, nagbabara, so nadudumihan yung tubig natin. So, anong nagiging effect nun? Organisms are the one that causes as well yung negative effect sa environment. Pero posible nga natin yung makontrol. Okay? Why? These organisms, such as plants, bacteria, fungi, they make use of this nutrients para maibalik yun sa earth by means of decomposition. Okay? So nagkakaroon ng cycle, nare-recycle yung mga nutrients na nagagamit or resources na nagagamit because also of the biosphere. 'Di ba? Pag halimbawang may nabubulok na pagkain, pagkakaroon yan ng fungi, 'di ba? Tatubuan yan ng amag, i-decompose niya yan eh. And then eventually makita mo yung gulay mo, wala na. Right? 'Di ba yung mga nagko-compost pit, lagyan nila yan ng bulate, earthworm, lagyan mo ng dried leaves or kaya mga bulok na pagkain, eventually what will happen to those biodegradable materials? Magiging lupa, nagiging pataba. So, nare-recycle. And that is the importance of biosphere. Okay? It covers all the ecosystems, the marine ecosystem, lahat. Lahat. Terrestrial, yan yung mga forest, tropical forest, yung mga marine ecosystem, yung freshwater ecosystem natin, yung ilog, 'di ba, lakes. Ang marine ecosystem natin, yung mga oceans and seas. Okay? So these are the biosphere is where we belong. Ayan. Of course, majority of this biosphere is photosynthetic organisms. 'Di ba? Most of the organisms can give food or can make food from out of they can convert food from the solar energy and carbon dioxide and water. Pero marami pa din naman ng mga consumer like us. So examples of photosynthetic organisms, we have the plants, yan number 1 na yan, no? Lahat ng halaman na alam ninyo, they can make their own food in the process of photosynthesis. But pero may mga photosynthetic organisms din na maliliit, like the plankton, it's a protist. Algae, it can also be a photosynthetic organism. So kaya din nilang mag-produce. Marami sila actually. Na hindi lang natin sila nakikita kasi they are microscopic. They are microscopic kaya hindi natin sila napapansin. Pero most of the or oxygen hindi sa halaman nanggagaling pero sa mga plankton at sa mga microscopic na photosynthetic organisms kasi mabilis silang mag-produce ng pagkain, mabilis silang mag-consume ng kanilang food, okay, ng energy. Okay? So that's it. Now, for the hydrosphere, hydro, of course, for all we know, when we say hydrosphere, that means water. And most of our Earth is made up of water. 70% of it is covered with water. And however, only 3% is covered by fresh water. Ano yung mga fresh water? Mga example ng fresh water, we have yung mga rivers, lakes, okay, falls, yan, spring, yan yung mga fresh water natin. But 2/3 of it, yellow pa po. Okay, ice pa. And then 1/3 naman, as I said, 1/3 naman streams, lakes, and other groundwater. So ma'am, anong ibig sabihin nito ma'am? Yellow pa pala. Sa ngayon. However, kapag tumaas ang carbon dioxide amount of carbon dioxide natin sa atmosphere, iinit, 'di ba? Kanina, right? Diniscuss ko, iinit, pag uminit, anong mangyayari? What will happen kapag uminit? Pwedeng magkaroon ng global warming. Okay? And then, matutunaw yung mga yelo. So, anong magiging effect? Tataas yung water level. Okay? So, you see, there is a domino effect eh. Pag hindi natin inayos yung consume ng ating energy or hindi natin inayos yung ating paggamit ng mga resources sa mundo, may effect, merong domino effect. And sinong maapektuhan? Of course, humans pa din. Okay? Maybe the next generation, right? Now, this is what I had to emphasize this. I have to emphasize this because oceans are very important carbon dioxide sink. When you say carbon dioxide, it traps also the carbon dioxide. Why? Kasi there are a lot of there are a lot of organisms underneath the ocean. Alam nyo ba na most of the organisms underneath or nasa ilalim ng dagat hindi pa nade-discover. So if you're interested, maybe you can shift, 'di ba? Maybe you can shift your course, 'di ba? Maraming mga biologists ang kailangan sa field para mag-aral nitong mga organisms na to. And kokonti lang talaga ang field workers pagdating sa marine bio. Kasi marami pa yung organism na hindi pa nade-discover. Because some of the field workers, of course, they are not after the learning, but they are after the money. So hindi na lang sila nag-field work. So this one is actually an interesting study, okay? So that's for our hydrosphere. So now, then the last, but not definitely not the least, is our lithosphere. Now it includes this is a very, 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 very familiar subsystem to you guys. We have the rocks from the crust, the mantle, the outer core, and the inner core. So when you say lithosphere, or in other books, they call it geosphere, it has something to do with the soil, the rocks, the minerals on the crust, mantle, and the core. So lahat yon kabilang kay lithosphere. Okay? Questions? So these are the four subsystems. Again, what are the four subsystems? Please recite it with while listening to me. We have the atmosphere, good, biosphere, ano pa isa? Hydrosphere and lithosphere. Okay, napaisip din ako kung ano yon. Anyway, now let's have this diagram. As I've said, we need to understand that the subsystems are somehow connected with each other. They are connected with each other just like on the screen. Ay makikita ninyo diyan na yung solar energy coming from the sun, okay? Saan galing ulit si solar energy? It's from the sun. The solar energy comes from the sun. This energy flow truly but freely in each in each subsystem. So, kapag si lithosphere gumamit siya ng solar energy, possible na matransfer niya yun kay biosphere, o kaya naman kay hydrosphere, o kaya naman kay atmosphere, or kaya naman, babalik siya kay lithosphere. So, yung energy flow is not actually being, destroyed, right? But it's actually transferred from one subsystem to another subsystem. And they are actually interconnected. To understand this diagram well, I have here another diagram. This one is hydrological cycle. Okay? In scientific term, we call it hydrological cycle. Pero in common name, that is water cycle. So, dun na lang tayo sa water cycle, right? Hindi, syempre kailangan natin mag-level up sa mga terms. So, pag sinabing hydrological cycle, that is your water cycle. So, what are the processes involved in the water cycle? We have condensation, precipitation, infiltration, surface runoff, evaporation, transpiration. So, itong mga ito, they are the processes na kailangan para magkaroon ng water cycle. Okay? And if we're going to see this, right, from the condensation, anong mangyari? Yung clouds, pag napuno na siya ng water vapor, it will become a precipitate. Okay? Uulan. Ayan, kagaya ngayon. 'Di ba? Tag-ulan na. October pero tag-ulan, 'di ba? Pag hapon na ulan. Kasi naiipon yung water vapor sa atmosphere. Okay? Saan galing ma'am yung water vapor natin ay yung water natin? Of course, saang part? Anong part 'yon ng subsystem? That is very good, the hydrosphere, no? Sinasagot ko yung sarili ko kasi hindi ko kayo naririnig. Anyway, so infiltration naman, kapag bumagsak na yung ulan, kapag ang ulan ay do you know that song? Lalabas ako at yung ano, what's that song? What's that song? Yung kapag ang ulan eh. Anyway, so infiltration, ulan na siya. Pag umulan na yan, papasok yan kay crust. Okay? Kaya hindi crust siya, crust. Okay? Punta yan sa lupa. And then ma-filtrate yan ng lupa. Okay? Pagdating ngayon sa ilalim, magkaroon ng groundwater. Kaya nga 'di ba, guys, kapag nagbutas ang Maynilad, sorry. Kapag nagbutas ang Maynilad, 'di ba may tubig? Saan galing ang tubig nun? Sa dagat. Eh dito naman sa Caloocan wala naman tayong dagat. So, 'di ba kayo nagtaka doon? So, that particular water comes from the water vapor on the atmosphere. Bumaba yan, nag-form siya ng groundwater sa ilalim. Okay, kaya may tubig tayo sa ilalim. And then eventually, yung iba diyan dumadaloy din sa dagat. Ay connected yan eh. Lahat actually ng mga tubig natin, magkakakonekta yan. And then surface runoff. Of course, pag nag-umulan, 'di ba? Pag nabasa yung pinaka-surface mo, crust mo, mag-run off yan na magdadalo yung tubig. O we call it surface runoff. And that is part of your lithosphere. O again na, ano yung kanina? We have condensation. Saan nangyayari? Sa atmosphere. We have precipitation. Anong part niya? Naging tubig ulit yung water vapor. And that's part of your hydrosphere. And then, bumagsak sa lupa, alam natin lahat na ang crust natin ay part ng lithosphere. So we have now atmosphere, hydrosphere, and then lithosphere. And then we have now, pagkatapos, mainit ang araw, what will happen? Evaporation ulit. Okay? Saan ulit yan, ma'am? From the hydrosphere, usually ocean, o kaya sampay ng damit ng nanay mo, di ba? Basa-basa, kaya natutuyo yan, nag-evaporate yung tubig sa atmosphere. Yan ngayon yung, again, magiging clouds, water vapor, and then the cycle will continue. Eh, ma'am, what about transpiration? Class, when we say transpiration, it has something to do with the biosphere. Okay? It's actually an evaporation process of fluids in the organisms, especially plants. Hindi kayo sasabihin sa inyo, tanong sa inyo, ang ano ang function ng roots? Sumisip-sip po ng tubig, ma'am. Para mabuhay yung halaman. Yes, that's true. Pero wala siyang kakayahan na sipsipin yung tubig, guys. Okay? Klaro yun hindi niya kayang magsipsip ng water. What is happening on that process is that yung tubig sa ilalim, it is actually evaporating papunta sa atmosphere. Yun nga lang saan dumadaan. Anong channel? Yung roots. And then the stems. And then the leaves. And then eventually, atmosphere. And what is that process? We call it transpiration. Okay? So that's another process. So, kasi yung halaman kailangan niya ng tubig, pero hindi naman lahat ng tubig kailangan niya. So yung ibang water pinag-evaporate niya. And what we call that process again, we call it transpiration. Okay? I hope you understand this particular cycle. So if you can see this hydrological cycle ito, pero lahat ng subsystem merong function dito. Tanggalin mo yung hydrosphere, wala kang water cycle. Tanggalin mo yung lithosphere or crust, saan dadalo yung tubig? Di lahat na baha. Right? Eh kung tanggalin mo yung mga halaman, ma'am, pwede naman tanggalin yan. Eh, sino gagamit ng tubig? 'Di ba? Tayo, we are also using the water. right? We need water to live, to be alive, to survive, right? Tanggalin mo si biosphere, alisin mo tayo, ano mangyari diyan? 'Di punong-puno tayo ng tubig. Puro tubig na lang. 'Di ba? So, this is an example of the flow or the connection of these four subsystems in the particular Earth. Okay? At ang system natin ay ang ating Earth. Okay? So, that's for the lesson number 2 for the module. So, if you don't have any question, I'll be posting some questions, discussion questions that you need to answer on our Facebook group. So, please, pagkatapos nyong panoorin tong video na to, pakinggan yung video na to, pwede nyo nang sagutan yung mga modules ninyo, and I'll be giving you another activity on lesson 1 and lesson 2 of the module. Now, for lesson 3, this would be part of the second module. So, idudugtong ko na lang siya para, kasi they are somehow connected. So, for the first module, ito na lang muna yung sagutan ninyo. Okay? So, for that, have a nice day, everyone. Please, pakinggan itong discussion na to. Pwede nyo yung ulit-ulitan if you don't understand. And pwede rin kayong magtanong or pwede kayong mag-post ng mga questions niyo directly doon sa comment box so that I would be able to address it in that particular group, Facebook group. Okay? So have a nice day, everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye, goodbye, good friends, goodbye. And tomorrow just like today. The moon, the bear, and the big blue house will be waiting for you to come and play. To come and play. To come and play. Bye now.